What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Real Impact. I'm your host, Austin Rice. Got a good one lined up for you guys today, so let's get started.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, guys. So today we've got a good buddy of mine, Mr. Omar Torres.
What up, everybody? What's up,
going
Austin?
on, man?
Brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So we run the podcast a little bit different, man. We just want to, honestly just chop it up for a little bit. So I really just want to kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll dive into, kind of how you got started in real estate, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So a little about me. I'm 29. I got a wife and two daughters. Love them to death. And I started real estate about four going on 5 years now ago. Started independently and joined operations with Equity Cash Offer. And been just running ever since.
Hell yeah, man. No, I mean, I know I was at your office, probably a couple months now ago, and you guys are running things efficient, effectively. So let's kind of talk about kind of how you got started, right? Because it's a little different, right? You weren't recruited, you recruited, right?
Yeah, I went out and recruited. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, dive into that, man, because I think a lot of people are kind of really in the same shoes, right? Where they're trying to start it off on their own. They're kind of on, not on the sidelines, but not exactly where they want to be. And, kind of dive in, because I think that'll give a little bit of insight to a lot of people.
Yeah. No, you're right. Everybody wants to, be the CEO and be, start their own operation, their own business. And that was kind of me. That was me, honestly, from when I was a kid. So I started hustling and, just trying to make $1 back in high school, and started kind of detailing cars and to make quick buck, and after high school, and turned it into an operation. One of my buddies told me about this thing, wholesaling. I'm sure you, just like me and a lot of other folks here, learned about wholesaling off of the internet. And so I did some research, bought a course, bought some training, started going out there and just knocking doors, driving for dollars. Had some pretty good, interactions with some sellers, landed, hustled my way into a deal. Small deal. My first deal was $2,000. It took me about 6 months to get that first deal, it wasn't really for the money for me. It was really the belief level that I see other people doing it. It's I could do it too. But then I got my first deal. After that, hunting and hustling, I fell into 5 deals my first year. And it was tough, man. It's tough. I was a one-man show. Didn't know about VAs. Didn't know about none of that. But I did link up with Donovan Ruffin at a pop-up. And, I kind of had to humble myself because, we all want to be CEOs and we all want to start our own thing. But, for me, my mentality was I could do good things. I could do big things on my own, but whenever I can lock arms with somebody big, or lock arms with, partners, you could do, endless, limitless things. So my mindset was, I'd rather have a slice of a watermelon instead of a full grape, full grape, this big slice of watermelon. It's yay big. So, I went to a pop-up interview, power of events. I preach events to this day. It's critical to this business. It's a people business, not
networking, right? Yeah,
networking. So met Donovan there and started just recruiting his ass since then.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, I know kind of the story and everything like that, right? So you met him, and just for everybody listening, right? He probably didn't come up to you and was like, "Dude, I'm hiring," or anything like that. So what was kind of the interaction there? And then walk us through from the time you met him till he was like, "Damn, dude, all right, let's go."
Yeah. So I remember it because it was starting to get cold. It was October, mid-October. And they had I live 2 hours away from Dallas. And they had a pop-up meeting here in Dallas. I didn't expect to meet Don. Don was just somebody that pulled up to the pop-up. And I pulled up, and I immediately Don's personality attracted me. I was like, this guy is like, he's real. He talks some shit, which is cool because a lot of people, they just keep quiet and
They're too
not.
PC, right? Yeah.
What's that?
I said they're too PC, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, I resonated with his character. I was like, all right, cool. And after the meeting, I started just chopping up with him. I didn't even ask him to be, to hire me on the spot or anything. I was just like, dude, like, I just followed up with him. I got his Instagram, started keeping up with him. Every time he posted, I'd like swipe up. And this was like October. Every time he posted, literally, bro, every single time he posted, I would swipe up and like, bro, hire me. I could do better. A shout out to his boys, like his employees. I'll be like, I could have done more. I could do better. This is just shit, getting out there, getting like something to stand out. Because I'm sure he gets a lot of messages and DMs all the time. So I just something to stand out. And it wasn't until it was funny because I even started following all his team members and started swiping up on all, like, I'm just gonna be in your face. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure you know that I'm here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't until like late November or early December that he was like, you know what, man, just come over for an interview. I think he honestly told me to do that so I could shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we connected, we clicked, and he told me to start January 1st. Yeah, January 1st of 2019.
Hell yeah,
And
man.
and we were pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
My girl was. We just found out we were pregnant, so we needed something life changing, and I'm blessed to take the opportunity and for him to give me the opportunity.
Yeah, man. No, I think it's more so too, you took the opportunity, right? Like, he didn't really have anything to give at the moment when you first met him or anything like that. It was more so like you saw the chance, you saw the opportunity, and you're like, dude, I'm not letting that slip by. Like I'm gonna make my opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's a lot of things. I think especially like, in wholesaling or in real estate or anything like that, like a lot of times, like we got to make the opportunity.
Yeah,
Whether it be, inserting yourself in a bigger operation or whether it be with a seller or a buyer or anything like that, so I think that's huge, man. So yeah, I mean, let's kind of talk about like your path, right? Because, obviously right now, you're in a lot different position than you were when you first, in 2019 got started with him. Right.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about your path, right? And then, what's kind of gotten you there, the skill set behind everything. And we'll kind of dive into stuff, as you kind of go.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I started as a disposition rep. At the time, there was 4 other dispositions, and disposition, I'm sure everybody knows, but just if you don't, it sells. You sell properties for the company. So I started at Dispo. I don't necessarily know why, what made him put me as Dispo, but that's where I started. I think it was just because we had, at the time when I walked in, there was probably like double the amount of Dispo for AC already. So, we like to keep a 2-to-1 ratio. So, yeah, I started at Dispo 2019. First year kind of fumbled everything. Every call I had, right? And just kind of worked my way up after a couple months into a leadership position. I mean, man, just like anybody else, my why was different. I think a lot of folks at the time, they were just there to they like the environment. It's a very cool environment to be around. A lot of bachelors when I started. I wasn't a bachelor. I'm in no position to be around somewhere just to hang out. So I went and got my shit done and just like left, not there to socialize. Not that I was like such an introvert, but I'm there to bag and get out, and go fast. I just kept my head down for about 5-6 months, man, just pushing out deals, fucking up, failing, trial and error, I made double the amount of phone calls as everybody else, double the amount of contacts as everybody else, because in my eyes, I sucked at the time. I was like, damn, I got sales experience. I've done door to door. I've done, if there's something to sell, I'll probably try to sell it. But I still considered myself as like pretty horrible at sales. So in my, I'm gonna just outwork everybody, right? And it worked. I mean, eventually the skill set caught up. my work ethic never left. My skill set, and before you knew it, I was like, these guys that were already in the position before I got here, I was in a position where I was leading them and coaching them and helping them out, like how to make sales. And this would directly affect me if I'm coaching up my disposition team, that, or not even mine at the time, but it was just a disposition team. It was my competition. Like I
Yeah.
was coaching my competition. You know, I didn't think that way, but I was
Yeah.
coaching my competition. And I think that's something that Don picked up and he saw. Is like, this guy's like, going above and beyond and helping the company grow. And I was, as we would go through trial and error, I would, notate things. I would implement things. I would switch things up.
Right.
I would make things that Don, as a CEO, you don't see the small little transactional things. You kind of just see from a bird's eye view what's contracted, what's closing, et cetera, X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah, it's big picture stuff. You don't see the fine details that make up the big picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So those things, I know that. I know that because I ran you could say a detailed operation. Whatever operation you run, if you run it yourself, you've got a certain sixth sense that the regular average Joe doesn't have because they don't think about those things. So I knew that. And I was like, Don's not gonna catch this unless I bring it up to him. So let me bring it up to him. And
Yeah.
I probably annoyed the shit out of him, but after so much time, like, we tweaked it so much to our dispositions, like rock solid. We've got a plan for this scenario, that scenario, X, Y. Like, we tweaked it like hardcore. And I mean, I helped build that department to what it is now. Right now, we've got a head disposition, which is Layla. She's got 3 other dispositions. Cranking out deals left and right.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's killer, man. I think that just speaks, to a lot, right? Like, it's not only were you crushing it in your role, right? Your position, what you were responsible for, right? You were doubling up on your responsibilities. You were, like you say, you were literally training your competition, right? And it wasn't, and I think too, a lot of that speaks to like the leadership, right? You weren't looking at it as you training your competition. You're looking at it as, hey, if I can train them to do as well as I'm doing, the company's going to benefit from that.
100%.
Right? And everybody's going to grow forward. And that just goes back to like what you're talking about before, right? Like, you're looking at it as a slice of a watermelon, not a piece of a grape. And I think that speaks to a lot of people too, especially like, like entrepreneurs, right? Like the entrepreneurs that are better suited or well suited inside an organization, right? And I think a lot of people miss that. I think a lot of, like you were talking about before, everybody wants to be, whatever title, whatever the hell they want to give themselves.
Yeah.
But they miss a lot of like opportunity and a lot of the big picture type stuff, And like the way that I look at it is like, you can get a lot farther with everybody tunnel vision on one end goal, right? Everybody's process to get there might be a little bit different. Everybody's responsibilities to get there might be a little bit different. But if everybody's focused on that like end goal, that end vision, bro, like, I mean, you guys are proof, right? Like
in the assembly line, everybody has their own specific role. Like, you don't have this guy in this part of the assembly line running to this side to help Joe Schmo. Like, we're all relying on each other to do your what you're here to do. And you're right, man. Like, when one person focuses on one thing and you go full throttle, like tunnel vision into that one thing, magic happens, bro. Magic happens.
So let's kind of dive in now where you are now, right? Like, started off with Dispo, crushed it in Dispo. So, where are you at now and kind of like your role and everything and the operation?
Right on. So yeah, man, I was in Dispo, started, then I got transitioned into a leadership role. After a while, we were turning down a lot of JV opportunities, and then joint venture, which is other companies, kind of business to business. We turned it down like for a good year and a half until Donnie is like, yo, I think we're ready now. Our dispositions is ready to start, not only serving our own company, but the whole industry as a whole. and being a dispositions company. So we started picking up JV deals. At the time, I was juggling both dispositions and JV. It was it was a new thing to us.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just tweaking it, learning, tracking what's happening in scenarios, and like we literally just learned like trial and error. At the time, there was probably other companies that were doing it, and we probably should have reached out for like mentorship, but that like I
Yeah.
didn't really get involved into like the network, the Instagram, like very aggressively for like the past year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
But we probably could have gotten a lot farther ahead if we would have like tapped into somebody that was already like crushing it.
Right.
We just learned by trial and error, which is fine too, God's plan. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we started picking up JV opportunities, built that thing out, and we had our first JV hire about a year and a half ago, and which is Reed. You got to meet Reed, right?
Yeah, I know Reed. Yeah.
Yeah, we just closed the damn deal together. Shout
Yeah.
out. Get to that later too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we hired Reed, and man, once we hired Reed, I really saw the magic of like hiring, like having one person fully focus on one thing, and like how much better he can do that when you're trying to do multiple things at a time.
Right.
Man, our average deal size with JV when I was doing it is like 2,000 to 3,000, and this was back in the day when like the market was hot, like
Mm-hmm.
nothing comparable to what it is today. And now like Reed's average deal sizes, or at the time, like when we hired him, man, he was getting like double digit assignment fees, which
Mm-hmm.
were unheard of at the time because I was trying to juggle too many things. But
Yeah.
I mean, now we got, we developed JV department. We've got 3 reps. Reed's got his own team now, which is awesome. And about a year ago, I got the opportunity to be, or got promoted, I guess, to VP, vice president of the company, which is awesome. Don made me a partner into our holdings company, so we're buying rentals together too. We opened up a educational space department where we were able to collab with other companies that are killing it, like your company, and others in the industry, where they come and like we run a whole 2-day workshop, break down what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing, what we're right, what we're doing wrong, literally the whole shebang from A to Z. But yeah, it's a complete 9-day difference from when I started.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that just speaks to the power of just persistence and just the power of, focusing, right? Like, you came in, obviously, like you said, right? Like, I can appreciate that, right? Because, I've got a wife, a family, and everything like that. So, like, like you said, like your why is a lot different, right?
Yeah.
And, it's a lot easier to come in and focus and put your head down and like just knock shit out and get it done. But I mean, I think that's a testament, right? To just being focused, right? Not losing focus, not losing track. There's going to be hard times, right? I'm sure throughout this entire course, everything's not been sunshine and rainbows, um, as much as you'd like to probably say it is, there's no chance.
Not a
Yeah.
chance.
But I mean, again, like that's a testament, man. Like, and dude, I would like to say, I mean, I personally would like to think that you're probably, crushing it right now, as opposed to, strangling yourself trying to knock out 5 deals a year, and
100%.
that's like you said, being able to plug in, find where you fit, get in where you fit in, and then just absolutely destroy it, and yeah, I think that's huge, man, because I think
Yeah,
that shows it's like
yeah. I
it's
was
the
gonna
power of just
say,
focus.
yeah, bro. Like the things that I could have done by myself versus like the things I've done with the operation. Plugging into a team. A
Hmm.
environment. It's you can't even compare the two, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like you yourself, bro. Like you got an operation. At some point you were like, you know what? I'm tapped out. Like the amount of stuff I do for myself versus like hiring other people. Like you could only do so much. You
Yeah.
had to go, dude. Like I'm gonna have to give away like slices of the pie, slices of the watermelon, to
Mhm.
the team. But you're able to get more watermelon now that you got a
Well,
team.
And that dude, and I think that like that goes back to like what you're talking about whenever you guys brought on Reed, right? Is you were trying to juggle, Dispo and JV. So you had right 50% of your, because let's be real, right? When you come into the office, I'd say probably, you're 100% at the office, right?
Right.
But we got to also realize there's life outside the office. You might be thinking, something with the girls or something with your girl. Like there's other things, right? So let's say you get in the office, best case scenario, you're 90% at the office, right? Now you got 45% on JV, 45% on Dispo, but it really just depends on what's more pressing at the time, right? Like, you got a deal that's blowing up on Dispo, boom, you got to shut down JV, you got to focus 100% on Dispo. You got to figure out that deal, you got to correct that deal. Then when that's all said and done with, now you probably got another, checklist of other deals you got to Dispo.
Yeah.
And now you got a queue full of, potential JV opportunities you got to underwrite. So you're just spread thin on your focus, and, like you said, like there comes a point where you're just tapped out, and like what you talked about with hiring Reed is like, he's able to focus 100% of his time and his effort. Right. And when he first gets hired, he's not going to be as good as you. Right.
Yeah.
But his 100% is a lot better than your 45% focus, your 50% focus.
Yeah.
And now he's been in the role for as long as he's been in it. He's been focused on that role 100%. I'd say he could probably go head to toe with you when it comes to like JV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I think the student has surpassed the master.
But I mean, that's just a testament, right? Like to anybody, anybody that watches this or listens to this or anything like that, if you're a one-man show or a small operation or anything like that, like it's stressful. I mean, you probably went through it. It's stressful trying to hire somebody. Like Dispo and JV was probably, I think one of the last time we talked, like JV was your baby, right? JV, like you started that, right? Yeah. And so it's like to hand that off, it's nerve-wracking.
No, it is, bro. I was talking to one of my boys and he was telling me, he's like, man, when you do stuff like that, it's kind of like the same analogy of like when you marry your wife, the father gives, hands that responsibility of a father down to the group, like down to you, like the same like that we this is like I've cherished and protected this with my life. Now tossing it to you, do the same.
I'm trusting you. Take care of this.
Yeah, trusting you to hear this. Do not drop this. Do not fumble this.
Yeah, and it's a huge. I mean, because I've went through it, right? Like, if I went through it in different aspects, but I mean, it's big, right? And it's like you said, it's a big responsibility to just like hand off. But once things start kind of like catching, and then you realize like, oh shit, like now I got 100% time to focus on this, right? To focus on growth, to focus on, other avenues, like, and that I just handed off is still getting done.
Yeah.
Right. And
also has to come full trust, like I wouldn't be able to do as many things as I did today if I don't fully disconnect and fully trust my team to do what they're supposed to do. Versus like at the beginning when we did this, I was kind of like fourth, so I'd send them like, "Hey, can you do this?" 5 minutes later, "Hey, did you do this?" Show me. Like you could have done it, So you gotta fully trust that. I'm not saying just like don't like ever check in. But micromanaging is like will bottleneck your business. Micromanaging will like literally be a bottleneck for your operation. So for me, what's helped me a lot when I come across these scenarios, which are tough, man. It's tough to like. It's like a me versus me type of battle. Walking over there to like tell them something, I walk back. I was like, nah, they got it. But yeah, if I were to check in every time, they were trusted with a task, I wouldn't, it's kind of counterintuitive at that point. So you truly got to trust your teammates, have a blueprint for them, but to truly trust them to do what they got to do. If they
Yeah.
fumble the bag, if they mess up, it's okay. It's
It's gonna
okay.
happen.
They're
Yeah.
gonna. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
As a business owner or like leader,
Mhm.
step in every time that there's a fire going on. Your operation is never going to grow. You're always going to need to be there, which is not why we're in business for it. We want financial freedom and time freedom.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
No, and I think that's a huge, I mean, that right there, I think is a huge, nugget, key point, whatever you want to call it, right? Like you can't step in every time there's a fire, right?
yeah,
And I think especially like in a leadership position, like I feel like there's like this false sense of leadership, right? Where it's like as a leader, you've got to be the one solving the problems, where it's like that's not leadership. Like leadership is teaching them to where they are able to solve the problem, on their own.
yep,
And like that's a hard lesson, right? It's a really hard lesson. I mean, I've struggled with it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit and say I haven't. But it's one of those things where it's like you said, like until you're able to really do that, the operation's gonna like stagnate. It's gonna stalemate. It's gonna bottleneck right
yeah,
where you are.
exactly,
And I think it's a big kicker too. Is it's like what got you to where you're at now isn't going to be what's going to get you to the next level, right?
100%.
Like what got you to building out the JV department to where it was, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
going to be what got you to build it out to where it is now,
yeah,
you know? So bringing in the new people, new ideas, new faces, new voices, new ways to talk to people, new ways of building relationships,
yeah.
that's what took it to the next level, you know? So I think that's huge, man. Like,
No, yeah, bro. Like for me, something that Don really like built, like hammered into the way I think, though, is that's what we do essentially as leaders.
mhm,
We pour into our team. This we kind of like guide them like to where this is how I want you to think. This is what
mhm,
I want you to behave in a way. It's like so one thing he hammered into my head, because he at the time he was like, hey, we're gonna hire more dispo. I was like, fuck, we already got a lot of dispo. We're gonna And he got me to think like, yo, we need to hire up. We need to hire people that are more talented than you, better looking than you. They're just more hustlers than you. Like they're just all around better than you. And I was like, why would I ever want that? But
mhm,
as a leader, as somebody that wants the company to thrive, that's what you want to do. You want to hire people that are way better than you. That way they can take that role and do way better than you did with it.
mhm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Reed's way better than me at JV now because he's doing it full time. He's we hired up.
Well,
So like
100% of
he's
his 100% of his focus, 100% of his time is spent on that one thing,
100%. Yeah.
and inherently he's going to get better, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like, the acquisitions that we've got right now, like they're whenever I hired them, there's no shot, right? They're 60-70% as good as I was on the phones, right?
Yeah.
But their focus all day, every day is locking up contracts, right?
Yeah.
They're having conversation after conversation after conversation. They're getting different, situations thrown at them. So like there is going to come a time and point, if it hasn't already, but like there's going to come a time and point where like now they're a better closer than I am, right?
Yeah.
Now they're better at negotiating, right? Now they're able to, talk to sellers better, right? Like that time will come. If it hasn't already, that time will come, and that's just inherently like that was a hard thing for me to like just accept and be like, yeah, because my background is sales. So it's like, oh, like the best closer out there, like everybody's got that ego, right? But like you said, like as that leadership position, like, you got to let the ego aside. And it's like you say, you got to hire up. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily like, and that's where I think the ego, kind of got to get pushed to the side, or like, the pride's got to get pushed to the side. Cause like when you say higher up, right, it's not necessarily meaning they're just a better person all around.
Right.
It's not necessarily meaning they're higher educated. They're, whatever. Right.
Right.
What it is it's like you see the potential in that person surpassing your skill set.
100%.
Right. In that one thing.
Yep.
Whether that be JV, whether that be acquisitions, dispo, transactions, right? Like dude, like y'all's transaction coordinator is ridiculous, right? But she focuses
Solid.
on that one thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's probably not a situation that can come up when it comes to transactions that she's like throwing her hands up and being like, I just don't know, you know?
No.
But like I think that's big as far as like when it comes to like that phrase like hiring up, because I've always tried to do that, but I didn't realize I was doing it. And so like whenever we all connected, and that was thrown out there, I was like, damn, okay, that's what I was doing. I just didn't realize I was doing it,
Yeah.
So I think that's huge, man, because I think too many people try to hire followers, right?
Exactly.
Too many people try to hire yes men and guys that are just going to agree with every idea you've got and just kind of just like ride the wave, and they stray away from hiring the people that are going to kind of go against the grain, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I was listening to, you familiar like Patrick Bet David, like and Value Tame and all that stuff. Like I was listening to one of his books called Your Next 5 Moves, right? And one of the things that he said that like really stuck out is like friction drives improvement. Like there being friction causes there to be conflict resolution, which then drives improvement.
Yeah.
And like whenever I heard him say that and he like went into it, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. So that I think that's huge, man, because when you do hire up, you're going to hire people that have their own ideas, that have better ideas, quite frankly, than the way it runs right now.
100%.
So I think that ties right into the whole hire up type thing.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, the people. I mean, you've always heard it. You and I have always heard it. People run the organization. You take care of the people take care of the organization, and that's true, man. That's true. You take care. People will run the shop. So I mean, people is like a huge factor in your business. So you gotta like, if you're looking at hire people, like, all right, low salary. That way I don't have high overhead or like all commission reps or whatever the case is. Like if your mentality is like you got like a scarcity mentality, that's what you're gonna get. But if you got abundant mentality, like I'm gonna hire somebody, a rock star that's already killing it in whatever they're doing. They're already winning somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Come with you, they're gonna win even bigger. So that's the mentality that was like hammered into me, and it makes so much sense. After like a couple of times of like him breaking it down, it just clicked. It's like, why wouldn't we want the best of the best here working with us? I'm not worried about anybody taking my position or so and so's position. It's not what it's about. It's just we want the best of the best in our operation. That way we can continue being the best of the best. That's just that simple.
Yeah, and I think that just ties back to like everybody is so tunnel visioned on that, right? Everybody's tunnel vision on like we want to be the best, not like it's I want to be the best so that we're the best.
Yeah.
Not I want to be the best so that I can do X, Y, Z. It's I want to be the best so that we can be the best.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge, bro. I relate to that. Like that as soon as you were saying that, I was like, that relate huge. Sports and business, it's like I relate so much, man. I played soccer, growing up my whole life. So I relate a lot of like sport, business is a sport, by the way. So I relate a lot. For example, if I'm looking for a striker on my team, I want the best fucking striker, because it's a sport for us. Why would I go out there somebody that I know is not as good, that I'm better just because of my egos? I'm gonna go recruit somebody that I have to be better than, but I still want them as a striker. Like I want the best of the best, so I relate to sports and business, because it's the same thing. In sports, everybody has that one role, not two people share the role. One person has that. Same thing in business, man. We have transactions, they focus only on transactions. They don't try to sell, acquire, nothing else. Disposition, one role, acquisitions, that one role, et cetera, et cetera. That's not to say, it's bad, like for anybody on this, watching this, like if you're doing multiple things at once, it's not saying you're doing it bad. It's just saying that there's, there's a magic when, you partner up or you grow a team and to help you do more. You're as one person, you only do so much. You've got family to deal with, business to deal with, religion, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you only got so much, that's I want to make it clear because it kind of making it, we're kind of, I guess it probably seems like we're back solopreneurs. Like that's not the thing, bro. It's just magic happens with a team. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, do it alone.
Right. No, and I can speak to that, right? Because like I was by myself for, I mean, I would say probably close to a year, right? Yeah. I ran my operation, solo. I mean, obviously like VAs and, cold call teams and stuff like that. But I mean, outside of that, like acquisition, disposition, transactions, like, I mean, I was solo for a while, right?
Yeah.
And, and I think to that point, like, I mean, we were making good money, schedule freedom was good, right? Like time freedom was good. But, like you said, there came a point where I was just like, damn, I'm not focused 100% on, acquisitions. I'm not focused 100% on dispositions. I'm not focused 100% on, getting deals done, right? I get an email from the title company. I'd be like, oh, they're requesting paperwork. Like, let me get to that, when I can get to it. Right. Like, and that's just facts, because I had so much going on. And then it was like, it caused a little bit of friction, at home, because it was like, when you're a one-man show, you got so much shit going on. The workday is 24 hours. Like, let's just be real. Right.
Yeah.
When you're a one-man show, like there's no such thing as like, all right, when I leave the office, I can just check out and be done. Right.
Yeah.
And so like there really came that kind of like point where I was like, dude, like I need to bring someone in to focus on one thing, right? Whether that be transactions, dispositions, acquisitions, whatever. I need somebody to focus on that one thing so that I can develop the business more.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, that was acquisition. So I was like, hey, I need to bring somebody in to focus 100% of their efforts and time on locking up contracts so that I can go out, build better relationships with buyers, get stronger buyers, do more market research, make sure I'm on top of transactions, and dude, I mean, like you said, like there's nothing wrong with being a solopreneur, but there's magic once you get the right people in the right seats, because like that's when things start exponentially just, taking off. And but I think a lot of that too comes to, the personality, right? Like you said, you met Don and you were just like, dude, I gotta connect with this dude. I need to tap in. Like I need to figure out what's up, and I think that speaks to, the personality and the culture that he's created. Right. Not just with himself, but also with like the company, so I think that's huge when it comes like the solopreneurs, when you do start to kind of, looking to bring people in, like you got to make sure that they know what they're coming into, and you got to make sure that you're ready to bring somebody in.
Yeah, that they have an opportunity. They're not just coming on to help you out, like coming on.
Yeah.
Like it's I'm gonna provide a for you. You're gonna help out a lot. So to give win-win.
Mm-hmm. No.
When going, it goes back to like our structure for like hiring. We used to be all salary, or I'm sorry, all commission. Now we switched it to where we pay salary plus commission now. It's just the quality candidate you get, for us at least. We saw a huge change whenever we switched that little thing up. I don't know what it is about that, but we used to have, when we were all commission, we had like it was kind of like a frat house. It was fun. We had fun. We had a blast. We would make some money too, but we didn't retain any girls because for obvious reasons.
Right.
If we had to take a serious phone call, we had to step outside because it sounded like a locker room in the office. So a lot of things changed over time. You talked about cultures, like it has a huge part to do with like the head, of the operation, the CEO. But what I noticed after the big change that we did in our hiring process was, the leadership. The leadership really like dictated what type of culture you had. You know, if
Right.
it's CEO, you are the leader. You know, so you technically dictate. But if you got an operation, you know, certain individuals, they'll really dictate what type of culture you have. I mean, man, if you the leadership we had when I first started, we were they were bachelors. They were
Mhm.
like, have fun.
Yeah.
So the office resonated with that. We had a bunch
Right.
of leaders having fun.
Yeah.
Now we've got like a nice corporate slash, a little sharky, little, we get a little ratchet sometimes in here, but now we like to have fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more corporate now. We've got families. You know, a lot of people in the office have families now, which is cool.
Mhm.
It's we got a complete 9 day different type of culture as when we had it back in the day with new
Right.
leadership, different leadership. You know.
Yeah. I think a lot of that comes too with the maturation of the business, right? Like the maturity cycle of the business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's especially like when you're first getting started, and your first hire and everything like that. I mean, I trust me, like I know the exact reason as to why, everybody was commission only at the time, right? It's a lot. I mean, at that time, there's a lot higher income opportunity,
Yeah.
right? Because just the maturity of the business,
Yeah.
But now the business has matured. The revenue is more stable. The deals are more stable. It's more consistent. It's predictable. And so now it's as you're able to mature the business, the culture matures with it, right?
Yeah.
The culture molds with it, and the culture grows with it. And that's the trajectory I think that a lot of companies take, right? And
Yeah.
like you said, I think a lot of that has to do with the leadership in place and the way that the leadership matures as well. Because I'm sure if at the time you guys weren't expecting, right, you'd be right there with everybody, like, let's go,
100%.
right?
If I wasn't.
Exactly. So it's as the leadership matures as well, right? That's when the culture matures with it, and I think that's a big telltale sign to, like, steps in the right direction, with an organization, especially when it comes to growth, right? Because there's nothing wrong with the frat house, culture or
No,
anything like that. Not
it's
at all.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Everybody enjoys it, right? But I'm a firm believer there's a cap to that,
Yeah.
right? There's a very fine cap to that in the frat house culture, is just like what ceiling you guys can reach, you
Yeah.
know. Whereas once that culture matures and once everybody is like you said, like we talked about, right? Everybody's tunnel vision on being the best,
Mm-hmm.
because in the frat house culture, everybody's the best at what they do, right? And everybody just wants to make bread and get the bag so they can go out and do whatever, right? So they're trying to provide enough for them to get the shiny objects and
Just
and
enough.
all that.
Yeah.
So, but now you got people that are really trying to make enough to buy investment properties, make enough to invest, whatever, make enough so they can pour into their families, make enough they can pour into the communities, right? So
Right.
the goals, the objectives are different. So
Yeah.
I think that's huge, man.
No,
But
that's fine.
cool, man. Well, listen, we're coming up on the 45-minute mark. So what's kind of one tip, one piece of advice you want to leave everybody with, and then we'll wrap it up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say learn from other people's mistakes. I learned a lot from my mistakes, but one thing that I wish I would have done early on is learn from other people's mistakes. And what I mean by that is tap into, other operations, tap into mentorship, tap into leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, community, it doesn't have to be me, my company, our company, Austin. It doesn't have to be us. Just anybody, in general that you see having success in what you want to do. If you're struggling, tap into them, learn from them. It might cost, you might have to pay to play, but in this business, it's worth it. In this industry, I mean, any industry, it's worth it. Educate yourself, invest in yourself, connect with the right people, and your operation could scale like crazy versus you trying to do it yourself. you know, you'll get there eventually, but why not cut the time curve, you know, the learning curve. You know, you can go out, make $100 back, but you can't go out and make your hour back. So
Yeah.
spend the money, you know, learn, educate, tap into people, you know, get into rooms where, you know, it'll help you, you know, have quality conversations. That's
Yeah.
probably my biggest takeaway, you know, for me that I've learned in the past short, you know, 4 years that I've been in this industry is, you know, tap into successful people. You know, don't you know, don't have too big of an ego where you think you know it all. You know,
Yeah.
we're all students.
Hell yeah, man. No, I love it, man. Well, guys, thank you. That's another episode of The Real Impact. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. for a live stream. That's it. Peace.
All right, Austin. Appreciate you, brother.